First contact, first sip. The crimson clouds of Nova Terra's sunset cast an otherworldly glow across the hydroponics dome where Juniper Reed was finishing her evening inspection. She adjusted her atmospheric filters and checked the readings on her tablet one last time. 3 years into humanity's first extrasolar colony, and they were finally starting to understand this planet's peculiar ecosystem. The soft chime of the airlock interrupted her thoughts. Through the transparent panels, she saw the unmistakable silvery blue forms of their Zephyrian neighbors. The aliens' crystalline exoskeletons caught the light as they moved, creating prismatic patterns on the dome's walls. Ambassador Lysith, Juniper called out, recognition dawning as the tallest of the 3 visitors stepped forward. I wasn't expecting a delegation today. The Zephyrians' translucent appendages rippled in what Juniper had learned was their equivalent of a formal greeting. Botanist Reed, Lysith's voice resonated through their universal translator, we bring an offering of cooperation. In their secondary arms, the Zephyrians carried an ornate container that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. The liquid inside glowed with a subtle purple radiance that reminded Juniper of the bioluminescent flowers she'd been studying. This is our most sacred healing nectar, Lysith explained, placing the container on a nearby workstation. We have observed your struggle with the local bacterial infections. This might help protect your outer layers. Juniper approached carefully, her scientific curiosity piqued. The Zephyrians had been surprisingly generous with their knowledge since first contact, but they'd never shared any of their biological resources before. It's beautiful, she murmured, examining the container. How is it administered? Applied externally, Lysith demonstrated with a gesture across their crystalline surface. It strengthens our protective layers against the harsh elements of this world. What happened next would later be described as either the biggest accident or the most important discovery in human-alien relations. As Juniper reached for the container, the ground trembled, one of Nova Terra's frequent minor quakes. The container tipped, and several drops of the purple nectar splashed directly onto Juniper's lips. The Zephyrians recoiled in horror, their crystalline forms vibrating with alarm. Quick! Medical attention! Lysith's translator struggled to keep up with their distressed tones. The internal consumption is toxic to all known species. But Juniper didn't feel toxic. In fact, she felt amazing. A warmth spread through her body, and the chronic joint pain she developed from Nova Terra's higher gravity seemed to melt away. Her mind felt sharper, clearer. I think I'm okay, she said, running a self-diagnostic on her medical implant. All vitals are stable. Actually, they're better than stable. The Zephyrians huddled together, their crystalline forms clicking in rapid communication. Finally, Lysith stepped forward. This is unprecedented. The nectar is sacred to us because it helps us survive, but it causes severe internal reactions in all other species we've encountered. You should be experiencing extreme distress. Juniper's scientific mind was already racing with possibilities. Maybe it's something about human physiology. We should run some tests. The next few hours were a blur of activity. The colony's medical team was called in, and Juniper underwent every scan they could think of. Dr. Theo Wallace, the colony's chief medical officer, couldn't hide his excitement as the results came in. It's not just harmless, he explained to the assembled group of humans and Zephyrians. The nectar appears to be enhancing cellular regeneration, improving neural connectivity, and strengthening your immune system. It's like it's optimizing your entire body. The Zephyrians' reaction was a mixture of awe and concern. Their crystalline forms dimmed and brightened in patterns Juniper had never seen before. This changes everything, Lysith finally said. Our council must be informed. As night fell over the colony, Juniper sat in her quarters, writing up her report. She could still feel the nectar's effects, a pleasant humming through her body, like every cell was operating at peak efficiency. She knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had stumbled upon something that would transform their relationship with the galaxy. What she didn't know yet was how this discovery would challenge both human and alien societies, or how it would reveal truths about their species that neither side was prepared to face. The purple nectar gleamed in its container on her desk, a simple substance that would prove to be anything but simple in the days to come. The forbidden taste. Word of Juniper's experience with the Zephyrian nectar spread through Nova Terra colony like wildfire. Dr. Wallace's preliminary findings were shared during an emergency council meeting, where colony director Raj Sharma listened with growing interest as holographic data streamed above the conference table. "Let me understand this correctly," Raj said, his weathered face illuminated by the purple glow of the nectar sample. "Not only did this substance not harm Juniper, but it enhanced her physical capabilities." "The improvements are remarkable," Dr. Wallace replied, swiping through medical charts. "Increased cellular regeneration, enhanced cognitive function, and a 40% boost in metabolic efficiency. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Outside the council chamber, the colony buzzed with speculation. Danica Wong, head of security, posted extra guards around the hydroponics dome where the remaining nectar was stored. She'd seen enough riots in the early days of space exploration to know how people reacted to miracle cures. The Zephyrians, meanwhile, had retreated to their settlement on the other side of the valley. Their crystalline spires glinted in the alien sunlight, a constant reminder of the gulf between their species. Ambassador Lysith had gone silent after sending a single message: "The High Council approaches." 3 days after the initial incident, Juniper sat in her lab, documenting the persistent effects. Her hands moved across the holographic interface with newfound precision as she recorded her observations. Day 3 post-exposure, continued enhancement of sensory processing. Color perception increased by approximately 25%. Reaction times. A shadow fell across her desk. Looking up, she found Danica standing in the doorway, her dark eyes serious. "We have a situation." The situation turned out to be Marcus Fleming, one of the atmospheric technicians. He'd managed to smuggle a vial of the nectar from the storage facility. They found him in the environmental control room, empty vial in hand, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. "You don't understand," Marcus said as Danica led him to the medical bay. "I can see the patterns now. The atmospheric processors, I know how to modify them to increase efficiency by 200%. It's all so clear." He was right. Within hours, Marcus had rewritten the atmospheric processing algorithms, and the colony's air quality had improved dramatically. Dr. Wallace added another data point to his growing file of nectar-enhanced humans. The Zephyrian High Council arrived as Nova Terra's twin moons rose over the horizon. Their ship was a crystalline marvel that seemed to sing as it descended through the atmosphere. 7 council members emerged, their forms more elaborate and luminescent than any Zephyrian the colonists had seen before. "We have reviewed the data," the High Speaker announced during the formal meeting. "This substance is sacred to our people. It is the key to our evolution, our connection to the cosmic consciousness. That humans can not only survive its consumption but thrive." They paused, their crystalline form pulsing with complex emotions the translators couldn't quite capture. "This is unprecedented." But as the council deliberated with colony leadership, more humans were finding ways to access the nectar. A black market emerged overnight. Small quantities disappeared from the storage facility despite Danica's best efforts. Those who consumed it reported similar enhancements: engineers solving complex problems in minutes, artists experiencing new dimensions of creativity, athletes breaking personal records. Dr. Wallace worked around the clock, trying to understand the mechanism behind these changes. "It's like the nectar is unlocking potential that was always there," he explained to Juniper as they reviewed brain scans. "It's not changing our fundamental nature, it's optimizing what makes us human." The Zephyrian Council watched these developments with growing unease. Their private discussions, held in crystalline chambers that blocked all surveillance, grew longer and more heated. The translators picked up fragments of debate about cosmic balance and the Great Filter. Then came the incident that changed everything. A group of enhanced humans, led by Marcus, discovered that they could communicate with each other telepathically when in close proximity. The nectar hadn't just enhanced their individual capabilities, it had opened up entirely new possibilities for human connection. The Zephyrian Council's reaction was immediate and severe. The nectar must be contained, they declared. This level of enhancement was never meant for. They stopped, their crystalline forms clouding with what might have been fear. But they were too late. The knowledge of what humans could become had already spread beyond Nova Terra. As the first reports reached Earth, Juniper stood in her lab, watching the sunset through enhanced eyes. She could see colors she'd never noticed before, patterns in the clouds that told stories of atmospheric composition and weather systems. "What are we becoming?" she whispered to herself, knowing that the answer would reshape not just their colony, but the future of human evolution itself. The purple nectar in its sealed container seemed to pulse in response, as if it too was aware of the transformation it had begun. Chemical chaos. Dr. Ramesh Patel hunched over his quantum microscope, dark circles under his eyes betraying countless sleepless nights. The nectar sample before him shimmered with possibilities, each molecular dance telling a different story about its interaction with human DNA. As Earth's leading xenobiochemist, he'd been shuttled to Nova Terra the moment reports of the nectar's effects reached the home planet. Recording analysis log, day 15, he spoke into his neural recorder. The nectar appears to act as a biological catalyst, but its effects vary significantly between subjects. It's almost as if. He paused, adjusting the resolution. As if it responds differently to each individual's genetic potential. A sudden commotion outside his lab drew his attention. Through the reinforced windows, he saw a crowd gathering in the colony's central plaza. At its center, a woman named River Santos stood with her arms raised, her skin emitting a faint purple glow. Objects, tools, containers, even small vehicles, floated around her in a perfect orbit. Telekinesis, Ramesh muttered, adding another impossible phenomenon to his growing list. The boundaries between mind and matter are becoming increasingly fluid. The colony had changed dramatically in the weeks since the first exposure. Nearly 30% of the population had consumed the nectar, despite increasingly strict containment protocols. Each day brought new revelations about its effects, and not all of them were positive. In the medical wing, Dr. Wallace struggled to treat Thomas Chen, one of the first enhanced humans. Thomas hadn't slept in 9 days, his mind racing with calculations and theories about quantum mechanics. His body showed no signs of fatigue, but his psychological state was deteriorating. "It's like being plugged into the universe itself," Thomas rambled, equations floating in the air around him, a holographic manifestation of his enhanced abilities. "Don't you see? The barriers between dimensions are just mathematical constructs. We can." A sharp crack interrupted him as the window beside his bed shattered spontaneously. Dr. Wallace ducked, then quickly administered a sedative, one of the few medications that still affected enhanced humans. Meanwhile, in the diplomatic quarter, the situation with the Zephyrians grew more complex. Other alien species had begun arriving, drawn by rumors of humans' unique reaction to the nectar. The Miranti, silicon-based beings from a distant arm of the galaxy, observed the enhanced humans with their compound eyes, recording everything. The Valerian Trade Consortium offered astronomical sums for even a drop of the substance. Ambassador Lysith met with Director Sharma in a sealed chamber, their crystalline form dimmer than usual. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," they said, their translator struggling to convey their distress. "The nectar is not just a chemical compound. It's a key that was never meant to be turned." But humans had never been good at leaving keys unturned. In her enhanced state, Juniper had begun to understand the nectar's true nature. Working with Dr. Patel, she discovered that the substance wasn't just affecting human biology, it was establishing a connection with something far more fundamental. "Look at this," she pointed to a complex molecular structure floating in the lab's holographic display. "The nectar isn't just enhancing us randomly. It's responding to something in our genetic code, something that sets us apart from every other species we've encountered. Dr. Patel nodded, his own unenhanced mind struggling to keep up with Juniper's accelerated thoughts. A genetic predisposition for rapid adaptation? But why us? Why humans? The answer came from an unexpected source. Marcus Fleming, now fully recovered from his initial chaotic enhancement, had been working with a group of enhanced engineers. They'd built a device that could visualize the energy patterns of enhanced humans. The images it produced were strikingly similar to ancient cave paintings found on Earth, patterns that had puzzled archaeologists for centuries. As this revelation spread through the colony, the Zephyrian High Council made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the galactic community. The nectar, they declared, was not created by us. We are merely its guardians. It was left behind by those who came before, those who seeded the galaxy with life. And somehow, humans were meant to find it. The implications of this statement sparked a new wave of chaos. Enhanced humans began reporting shared visions, glimpses of a civilization that had transcended physical form. The nectar wasn't just enhancing their bodies and minds, it was awakening something that had been dormant in human DNA for millennia. But as Dr. Patel reviewed his latest test results, he noticed something troubling. The enhancement process was becoming exponential. Each new generation of enhanced humans was developing abilities more quickly, more dramatically than the last. And there were signs that the changes might not be entirely stable. In the depths of night, as Nova Terra's moons cast their pale light over the colony, he sent a heavily encrypted message to Earth's Science Council, enhancement process accelerating beyond predicted parameters. Unknown if there are upper limits. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol Omega. The question is no longer whether we can handle this power, but whether we should. The response would reshape the future of both humanity and their place in the galactic community. But for now, the purple nectar continued to pulse in its containment units, waiting to reveal more of its ancient secrets. Power shift. In the observation deck of Nova Terra's central tower, Director Raj Sharma watched holographic displays tracking the spread of nectar-enhanced humans across the colony. Each purple dot represented someone who had undergone the transformation, and the display looked increasingly like a starfield. 70% of the colony, Danica reported, her own enhancement evident in the subtle purple sheen of her eyes. And we've lost control of containment. The formula for synthetic nectar reached Earth 3 days ago. The news hit Raj like a physical blow. They'd tried to keep the synthetic breakthrough secret, a discovery made by Thomas Chen during one of his enhancement-induced work frenzies. But information, like the nectar itself, had a way of spreading. Below them, the colony had become a living laboratory of human evolution. Enhanced humans demonstrated abilities that defied conventional science. River Santos had started a school teaching telekinesis. Marcus Fleming's team had developed quantum communication devices that worked on principles only enhanced minds could comprehend. Director, his comm unit crackled. The Galactic Council representatives are requesting emergency landing clearance. The Galactic Council, a coalition of the most powerful spacefaring species, had largely ignored humanity's early ventures into space. But now, 6 massive ships descended through Nova Terra's atmosphere, their designs representing different alien civilizations. The landing pad filled with an unprecedented gathering of species. The crystalline Zephyrians stood beside the towering insectoid Miranti. Valerian energy beings pulsed in their containment suits while serpentine draconids coiled on heated platforms. All eyes, sensory organs, and perception arrays focused on the human delegation. Dr. Patel presented his findings to this extraordinary assembly, his voice steady despite the pressure. The nectar appears to activate dormant genetic sequences in human DNA. These sequences bear markers suggesting deliberate engineering by an ancient civilization, the same ones the Zephyrians called those who came before. The revelation caused immediate uproar. The draconid representative scales flickered with color patterns indicating extreme agitation. Impossible. The precursors left no direct descendants. But Juniper stepped forward, her enhanced presence commanding attention. "We're not their descendants," she explained. "We're their experiment, seeded on Earth and left to develop independently. The nectar isn't just enhancing us, it's finishing what they started." The evidence was undeniable. Enhanced humans had begun exhibiting abilities that paralleled legends of the precursors: manipulation of energy in matter, telepathic communication, accelerated learning and adaptation. Each new enhancement seemed to unlock another piece of their hidden potential. The political implications were immediate and far-reaching. Several council species demanded immediate quarantine of all human settlements. Others sought alliances, seeing the strategic advantage of having enhanced humans on their side. The Valerian Trade Consortium openly offered citizenship and full rights to any enhanced humans willing to join them. But the most startling development came from the Zephyrians. High Speaker Luminax addressed the assembly, their crystalline form resonating with ancient harmonics. "We have guarded the nectar for millennia, never understanding its true purpose. We were not its intended recipients, we were its guardians, waiting for humanity to reach the stars." As the council debated humanity's new status in the galactic community, something unexpected began happening in Nova Terra colony. Enhanced humans reported increasingly vivid shared visions, not just of the precursors' past, but of possible futures. Thomas Chen, now stable and focused, worked with River Santos to document these visions. "It's like we're accessing a vast network," he explained to Dr. Patel. "Not just connecting with each other, but with something larger, something that spans the galaxy." The Mirantes quantum sensors detected unusual energy patterns emanating from groups of enhanced humans. The patterns matched ancient readings their species had recorded near suspected precursor sites. Humanity wasn't just inheriting the precursors' potential, they were somehow reactivating their long-dormant technology. As the day drew to a close, Director Sharma received an urgent message from Earth. The synthetic nectar had already spread through major population centers. Millions were undergoing enhancement, and governments were struggling to maintain order amid the transformation. In his private quarters, Raj poured himself a drink and stared at the sample of purple nectar on his desk, his own dose, still untaken. The colony's fate, perhaps humanity's fate, had spiraled far beyond his control. The question was no longer whether to contain this change, but how to guide it. Outside, Nova Terra's twin moons illuminated a changed world. Enhanced humans gathered in the central plaza, their combined abilities creating displays of light and energy that danced against the night sky. The watching aliens witnessed something both beautiful and terrifying, the birth of a new era in human evolution. Evolution's edge. The Earth-Nova Terra quantum channel crackled with urgent transmissions as global transformation reached a tipping point. On billions of screens across two worlds, Director Raj Sharma finally raised the small vial of purple nectar to his lips, his decision broadcast live to a species on the brink of evolutionary change. "We can no longer stand apart from what we've become," he announced, then drank. 3 months had passed since the synthetic nectar formula spread worldwide. Humanity stood divided, not in conflict, but in form. Enhanced humans now demonstrated abilities that challenged the very laws of physics, while unenhanced populations grappled with their place in this new paradigm. In her expanded laboratory complex, Juniper worked with a team of enhanced scientists, their minds linked in ways that transcended ordinary communication. They discovered something unprecedented: the nectar wasn't just changing individuals, it was creating a collective consciousness that grew stronger with each new enhancement. "The precursors didn't leave us a gift," she explained to Dr. Patel, who had chosen to remain unenhanced to maintain objective observations. "They left us a choice." That choice became clearer as enhanced humans began accessing what they called the lattice, a quantum network spanning the galaxy, dormant for millennia. Through it, they glimpsed the precursors' ultimate fate, ascension beyond physical form into a state of pure energy and consciousness. The Galactic Council descended into chaos. Some species launched preemptive military operations against human settlements. Others sought protection, believing humanity's transformation heralded the return of their ancient gods. The Zephyrians alone maintained their role as observers, their crystalline forms resonating with frequencies that enhanced humans now recognized as ancient warning beacons. In Nova Terra's quantum computing center, Thomas Chen and River Santos made a breakthrough that changed everything. The nectar isn't just an enhancer, Thomas announced to the assembled colony leadership. It's a key to the quantum nature of consciousness itself. The precursors didn't disappear, they evolved into a state of existence we're only now beginning to understand. As if in response to this revelation, enhanced humans worldwide began reporting the same vision: massive structures buried beneath Earth's oceans and Mars' polar caps, precursor technologies waiting to be awakened. The lattice hummed with new energy as humanity's collective consciousness grew strong enough to access these ancient machines. But with this discovery came a warning. River Santos, now able to perceive quantum probabilities, saw multiple futures branching before them. "We stand at a crossroads," she declared. "Continue our enhancement and follow the precursor's path to transcendence, or remain guardians of physical existence, bridging the gap between realms." The choice wasn't just philosophical, it was practical. Enhanced humans could already manipulate matter and energy in ways that could reshape planets. The power to create or destroy civilizations lay within their grasp. The responsibility was enormous. In a historic gathering, enhanced and unenhanced humans came together with representatives from across the galaxy. The Zephyrian High Council revealed their final secret: they had been created by the precursors as watchers, waiting for a species worthy of inheritance. Director Sharma, his enhancement now complete, stood before the assembled beings. His consciousness touched the lattice, feeling the weight of billions of minds, both human and alien, waiting for humanity's decision. "We choose both paths," he announced, his words resonating through physical and quantum space. "Some of us will follow the precursor's path, exploring the boundaries of consciousness and existence. Others will remain as guardians, ensuring that the bridge between physical and transcendent never closes. This is humanity's gift, not just to ourselves, but to all living beings." The announcement sparked a new age of galactic cooperation. Enhanced humans worked with alien species to unlock more precursor technologies, while others focused on maintaining the balance between physical and quantum realms. The nectar, once feared by aliens, became a symbol of transformation and choice. On Nova Terra, where it all began, Juniper stood in her original hydroponics dome, watching new generations of humans and aliens work together. The purple nectar still flowed from Zephyrian gardens, but now it represented not just human potential, but the potential of all conscious beings to choose their own path of evolution. The story of humanity's transformation didn't end, it evolved, branching into countless possibilities across space and consciousness, a testament to the species that dared to drink what aliens feared and, in doing so, reshaped the very nature of existence itself. End of story.